The emergency alarm echoed through the massive space station. Commander Lee Dae-ho walked quickly down the metal hallway, his boots making sharp sounds on the floor. He had received the urgent message just 20 minutes ago. The Galactic Council was calling an emergency meeting, and that never meant good news. The meeting room was huge, with a dome-shaped ceiling that showed the stars outside. Holographic images of alien representatives flickered around the circular table. Each species looked different from the others. The Altarians had long tentacles instead of arms and skin that changed colors when they were upset. The Gorvan warriors wore heavy armor and had faces that looked like they were carved from stone. The ethereals glowed with a soft blue light and seemed to float rather than sit. The Synthesis Collective representatives were half machine, half organic, with red lights blinking in their metal parts. The precursors were tall and thin, with silver skin that reflected the room's lights. Captain Park Soo-jin stood beside Dae-ho. She was one of the best ship commanders in human space, known for bringing her crews home safe from dangerous missions. Her ship, the Defiant Hope, was waiting in the docking bay. "Thank you all for coming so quickly," said Dr. Kim Hana, the human representative to the council. She looked tired and worried. "We have a serious problem." The hologram in the center of the room changed to show a massive space station floating in the darkness. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time, with spinning sections and towers that reached out like the arms of a metal flower. "This is Nexus Prime," Dr. Kim continued. "It's our most important research station. Scientists from all our species work there together, studying dark matter and how to make faster space travel possible. 3 days ago, we lost all contact with the station." The Altarian ambassador's tentacles turned a dark red color. "What do you mean, lost contact?" The station went completely silent. No radio signals, no data streams, nothing. It's located in the Void Sector, one of the most dangerous areas of space we know. The sector has strange gravity fields and energy storms that can tear ships apart. The Gorvan war chief leaned forward in his chair. His armor made grinding sounds as he moved. "We sent a rescue fleet yesterday, 3 of our best warships with experienced crews." "What happened to them?" asked the ethereal representative, her voice soft like wind through leaves. The war chief's face became even more like stone. "Only 1 ship returned. The crew was changed. They aged 50 years in 2 days. The captain could barely speak, but he said the other ships were destroyed by something that shouldn't exist." The Synthesis Collective's red lights blinked faster. "Our calculations show the mission has a 97.3% chance of total failure. We sent our most advanced vessels with quantum shields and temporal protection. They vanished completely. We detected their destruction signatures across 17 different dimensions simultaneously." Dae-ho felt his stomach drop. 17 dimensions? That was impossible according to everything humans knew about space. The precursor representative spoke in a voice that sounded like metal ringing. "Our people are the oldest in this galaxy. We have seen things that would drive other species mad. Even we could not reach the station. Our ships returned, but empty. The crews were found drifting in space, alive but with no memory of what happened to them." "The ethereals tried as well," said the glowing representative. "We sent our most powerful mind ships, vessels that can phase through solid matter and travel through space folded in ways that normal physics cannot explain. They reported seeing the station existing in multiple places at once. Then all contact was lost." Dr. Kim looked around the room at each representative. "So all 5 species have tried to rescue the scientists on Nexus Prime. All have failed with heavy losses. The station contains research that could change everything," the Altarian said, her tentacles now a worried purple. "New ways to travel between stars, technology that could help all our peoples. But the cost of trying to save it has been too high." The Gorvan war chief stood up, his armor clanking. My people have never run from a fight, but this is not a battle we can win. Too many good warriors have been lost already. One by one, each species formally announced they were giving up. The holograms flickered as the representatives prepared to end the meeting. The mission to save Nexus Prime was officially abandoned. Then Dayho stood up. The humans will take it. The room became completely silent. Even the soft humming of the station's engines seemed to stop. Every alien eye, sensor, and light turned to look at him. Dr. Kim's face went pale. Dayho, you can't be serious. Did you hear what they just said? 5 different species, all more advanced than us, all failed. Ships destroyed, crews killed, or worse. I heard them, Dayho said calmly. We've read all the reports. We've studied the data from each failed mission. We know exactly how dangerous this is. Captain Sujin stepped forward. We know the gravity storms can tear apart our ships. We know there are energy fields that can age a person decades in hours. We know the station might be existing in multiple dimensions at the same time. The Altarian ambassador's tentacles turned bright yellow with shock. Then why would you possibly consider this mission? Dayho looked around the room at each species. Because someone has to try. There are people on that station, scientists, from all our species working together to make life better for everyone. We don't abandon people. But the mathematics are clear, said the Synthesis Collective. The probability of success is less than 3%. You would be sending your people to their deaths. Maybe, said Sujin. But humans have a saying. Someone has to be in that 3%. The precursor representative's silver skin reflected the lights as he tilted his head. Your species continues to surprise us. You lack our advanced technology, our ancient wisdom, our powerful weapons. What makes you think you can succeed where we have failed? Dayho smiled. But it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had made a hard decision and was ready to see it through. We've studied how each of your missions failed. You tried to solve this like a science problem, or a war, or a puzzle to be figured out with the right calculations. Maybe that's the wrong approach. What approach would you use? Asked the ethereal. The human approach, said Sujin. We'll figure it out as we go. We'll make mistakes, learn from them, and keep trying until something works. We don't know the right way to do this, so we'll try every wrong way until we find it. The alien representatives looked at each other with expressions that might have been pity or confusion. You're talking about improvisation against cosmic forces that have destroyed the best ships in the galaxy, said the Gorvan war chief. Yes, said Dayho simply. We'll manage it. The news spread through human space faster than light-speed communication. Within hours, every colony, every space station, every ship knew about the impossible mission. The alien species had given up on rescuing Nexus Prime. The humans had volunteered. To try. Commander Lee Dayho expected maybe a few dozen volunteers. What he got instead made him stare at his computer screen in disbelief. 17,000 applications, he asked his assistant. In 6 hours? 17,000 and counting, sir. The communication channels are overloaded with people wanting to join the mission. On the industrial colony of New Seoul, engineer Choi Woo-jin read the mission briefing 3 times. He had a good job, a comfortable apartment, and was working on designs for new mining equipment. Safe, steady work that paid well. He submitted his application anyway. You're crazy, his supervisor told him. You have everything here. Why throw it away on a suicide mission? Woo-jin looked out the window at the colony's metal buildings and artificial sky. Because someone has to fix whatever broke that station. And fixing impossible things is what engineers do. Halfway across human space, pilot Nam Ji-ho was flying patrol routes along the border with alien territories. It was prestigious work, flying the newest ships and keeping peace between species. When he heard about the mission, he immediately requested a transfer. His commanding officer called him into the office. Ji-ho, you're one of our best pilots. You have a perfect safety record. This mission could end your career." "Sir, this mission could end a lot more than my career," Ji-ho replied. "But there are people trapped out there who need help. If we don't go, who will?" At the University of Terra, communications specialist Yoon Bo-ra was teaching classes about alien languages and how different species communicated. She had spent years learning to understand the complex thoughts of other species. When she heard that the mission needed someone who could talk to alien survivors, she knew she had to go. Her students were upset. "Professor, you could be killed out there." "And for what?" "The aliens themselves said it was impossible." Bo-ra smiled sadly. "That's exactly why we have to try. When everyone else gives up, someone still has to care." The volunteers came from everywhere. Doctors who left their hospitals, soldiers who left their safe posts, scientists who left their laboratories. They all had one thing in common. They heard about an impossible mission and wanted to help. Captain Shin Tae-young was selected to lead the mission. He was 55 years old with gray hair and scars from 20 years of dangerous missions. Other captains called him the man who comes home because he had never lost a crew member, no matter how bad things got. "I won't lie to you," he told the assembled volunteers at Terra Station. "This is the most dangerous mission any human has ever attempted. The alien species tried and failed with better technology than we have. Some of you will probably not come home." The volunteers stood quietly, but nobody left. His second-in-command was Lieutenant Commander Han Min-seo, a brilliant tactical officer who was famous for finding solutions that nobody else could see. She was only 32, but she had already survived missions that should have been impossible. "We're not doing this because we think we're better than the aliens," she explained to the team. "We're doing this because sometimes being human means trying, even when logic says you should quit." Dr. Jang Kyung-ho, the mission's chief scientist, showed them data that made even the bravest volunteers feel scared. Pictures of alien ships found, twisted into impossible shapes. Reports of crews who returned speaking languages that didn't exist. Energy readings that suggested the laws of physics had stopped working normally. The previous missions failed because they encountered things that science cannot explain, he said. Space that bends in directions that don't exist. Time that flows backward. Matter that exists in several places at once. Engineer Ryu Hyejin raised her hand. "Sir, are you trying to scare us away from the mission?" "No," Dr. Jang replied. "I'm trying to make sure you understand what we're facing. This isn't just dangerous. It's completely unknown. We have no idea what we'll find out there." "Then we'll learn," said pilot Oh Dong-hyun. "Humans are good at learning." Medical officer Lee So-young had read all the reports about crews who returned aged or changed by their experiences. She knew the medical challenges they would face. "I've prepared for injuries we've never seen before, and illnesses that might not even exist yet. But we'll deal with whatever happens." The mission required 3 ships. The first was called Persistence, designed to keep going no matter what tried to stop it. The second was Stubborn Hope, built to survive things that should destroy it. The third was Indomitable, made to never give up. Chief Navigator Bae-gun Woo spent weeks calculating the safest route to the Void Sector. "Safe is a relative term," he admitted. "The safest route through the most dangerous area of space is still incredibly dangerous." "How dangerous?" asked Security Chief Kang Soo-bin. "Let me put it this way," Gun-woo replied. "The computers calculate that we have a 15% chance of reaching the sector alive. After that, the computers stop making predictions because the math doesn't work anymore." The aliens offered to help with equipment and supplies, but Captain Shin politely refused most of their offers. "Their technology is more advanced than ours, but it also failed when they tried this mission. Maybe simpler equipment will work better." Engineer Choi Min-ji disagreed with this decision. "Sir, shouldn't we use every advantage we can get?" "Sometimes the best advantage is not depending on technology you don't understand," Shin replied. "Our equipment might be simpler, but we know how to Fix it when it breaks, and in the void sector, everything will break. The final briefing took place in a large hangar where the three ships waited. The crews gathered around a holographic display showing their route to Nexus Prime. Questions? Asked Captain Shin. Technician Kim Do-hyun raised his hand. Sir, what? If we get out there and find something we can't handle? Shin looked around at the faces of his crew. They were young and old, experienced and new, but they all had the same expression, determined but scared. Then we'll figure out how to handle it anyway, he said. That's what humans do. We run into problems we've never seen before, make mistakes, learn from them, and keep trying until something works. Communications Officer Lee Yunbi asked, "What if the aliens are right? What if this really is impossible?" Lieutenant Commander Han Min-seo answered this one. Then we'll be the first people to do something impossible. And that sounds like a very human thing to do. The crews boarded their ships, knowing they might never return. But they also knew that somewhere in the dangerous void sector, people were trapped and waiting for rescue. And if there was one thing humans understood, it was that you never abandon people who need help. As the ships prepared to launch, Captain Shin made one final announcement over the radio. We're not doing this because we're heroes. We're doing this because it needs to be done and we're the ones here to do it. Let's go bring our people home. The three human ships approached the edge of the void sector like tiny insects flying toward a storm. The stars ahead looked wrong. They flickered and changed colors, sometimes appearing in places they shouldn't be. Space itself seemed unstable. Chief, Navigator Bae Gunwoo stared at his instruments with confusion. Captain, I'm getting readings that don't make sense. According to sensors, we're approaching the sector from 3 different directions at the same time. Captain Shin Tae-young looked at the navigation display. The screen showed their position as a blinking dot, but the dot kept jumping to different locations. Is the equipment broken? I don't think so, sir. I think space is broken. The first sign of real trouble came when they crossed the official boundary of the void sector. Communications Officer Lee Yunbi was talking to the other ships, when her voice suddenly became strange and echo-like. Persistence. This is stubborn hope, she said into her microphone. But the words that came out of the speakers on the other ships were different. Hope? This is stubborn persistence. Did I say that wrong? She asked Captain Shin. No, he replied, watching the communication logs scroll past on his screen. But the words changed between your mouth and their ears. Engineer Ryu Hee-jin reported even stranger problems. Captain, the engines are running normally, but the energy readings keep changing. 1 minute we're using normal power, the next minute the readings say we're using negative energy. What does negative energy mean? I have no idea, sir. It shouldn't be possible. The deeper they went into the void sector, the worse things became. Time began to flow differently between the ships. A conversation that took 5 minutes on Persistence somehow lasted 30 minutes on Indomitable. Pilot Nam Ji-ho reported that his controls sometimes responded to commands he hadn't given yet. This is getting very weird, Captain, he said. I'm thinking about turning left and the ship turns left before I touch the controls. Dr. Jang Kyung-ho tried to explain what was happening, but his explanations made no sense. The normal laws of physics appear to be more like suggestions in this area. Matter and energy are behaving in ways that our science says are impossible. Can we still reach the station? Asked Lieutenant Commander Han Min-seo. I think so. But we might not be the same people when we get there. The first major obstacle appeared ahead of them like a wall of twisted space. It was the gravitational maze that had destroyed the Gorvan fleet. Massive objects that might have been planets or stars swung in impossible orbits, creating gravity fields that changed direction and strength randomly. The Gorvan ships tried to force their way through using heavy armor and powerful engines, said Gunwoo, studying the debris field. They were crushed like tin cans. Captain Shin studied the maze for a long time. The alien ships had all tried to go through it as complete vessels, using their technology to protect themselves from the crushing gravity. But every approach had failed. "What if we don't try to go through it as whole ships?" he asked. "What do you mean?" asked Han Minseo. "I mean, what if we take the ships apart and send the pieces through separately? Instead of trying to protect the ships from the gravity, we use the gravity to help us navigate." Engineer Choi Woo-jin looked horrified. "Sir, you're talking about deliberately breaking our ships apart while we're inside them. That sounds like suicide." "Maybe," said Shin. "But trying to force our way through like the others did is definitely suicide. At least this way we're choosing how to break instead of letting the gravity choose for us." The plan was completely insane by any normal standards. They would separate their ships into smaller sections, each with its own life support and basic engines. Then they would use controlled explosions and careful timing to essentially crash their way through the maze, using the gravity fields to slingshot the pieces toward their destination. Pilot Oh Dong-hyun volunteered for the most dangerous job. He would take a small one-person ship and fly through the maze first, setting up guide beacons to help the larger ship sections follow safely. "This is definitely not in any flight manual I've read," he said as he climbed into the tiny scout ship, "but it should be interesting." Watching Oh Dong-hyun fly through the gravitational maze was like watching someone dance with death. His ship was thrown in directions that shouldn't exist, spun upside down and sideways, and sometimes seemed to be moving through the gravity fields backward. But somehow, he managed to place beacon after beacon, creating a path through the impossible. "Gun-woo, are you getting readings on those beacons?" asked Captain Shin. "Yes, sir, but the readings keep changing. According to sensors, beacon number 3 is simultaneously north, south, and inside out of our position." "That's fine. We'll follow them one at a time and hope we end up in the right place." The controlled breakup of the ships was the most terrifying thing any of the crew had ever experienced. They felt their vessels shake apart around them, metal groaning and breaking as the sections separated. Emergency systems kicked in, sealing each section with its own air and power. Medical Officer Lee So-young found herself in a section with 15 other crew members, including 2 people she'd never met before, who claimed to be from her own ship. "I've been on this ship for 3 years, she told them. "I know everyone aboard." "We've been here for 3 years, too," they replied. "We know everyone aboard, including you." The separated ship sections tumbled through the gravitational maze like leaves in a hurricane. Some sections were flung ahead at impossible speeds. Others were caught in gravity loops and spun in circles. A few seemed to disappear entirely, only to reappear somewhere else in the maze. "This is Shin." The captain's voice came over the emergency radio. "Sound off by sections. Who's still alive?" The responses came back in a jumbled mess. Some sections reported arriving at the destination before they had even left their starting point. Others reported being in 2 places at once. Section 7 claimed they had been flying through the maze for 3 days, even though the entire journey had only taken 2 hours. But somehow, impossibly, all the sections made it through. They found themselves in empty space on the other side of the gravitational maze, battered and confused but alive. "All sections, begin reassembly procedures," ordered Captain Shin. "And someone please tell me we still have all our people." Engineer Ryu Hye-jin ran the head count 3 times before she was satisfied. "Sir, we have everyone. But some people are reporting memories of events that haven't happened yet, and others seem to have aged differently. Technician Park is now older than his supervisor, even though he was younger yesterday." "Are they functional?" "Yes, sir. Confused but functional." As the ship sections slowly reconnected, they found themselves at the coordinates where Nexus Prime should be. But the space around them was empty, except for a single message buoy floating in the darkness. Communications Officer Yoon-bo-ra retrieved the message. It was from the ethereal rescue mission, recorded just days before. The station exists in 17 different locations simultaneously. We cannot comprehend this phenomenon. The mathematics are beyond our understanding. We withdraw with deep regret for the lost souls aboard. 17 locations? Asked Dr. Jang. That's what it says, replied Bo-Ra. But that's impossible. Something can't be in 17 places at once. Captain Shin looked around at his crew. They had just survived a journey through impossible space by deliberately breaking their ships apart and reassembling them on the other side. They had crew members who were aging at different rates and reporting memories from alternative timelines. A few hours ago, I would have agreed with you, he said, but I'm starting to think we need a new definition of impossible. Navigator Gunwoo was scanning the empty space around them with every sensor they had. Captain, I'm detecting something. It's not showing up on visual, but there are energy signatures scattered across this entire region. What kind of energy signatures? The kind that suggests there's a massive space station here, but existing in multiple dimensions at the same time. Lieutenant Commander Han Min-seo smiled grimly. So the aliens were right. The station is in 17 places at once. The aliens saw that as an impossible problem, said Captain Shin. What do we see? It as Engineer Choi Woo-jin, who was still putting his tools back together after the ship reassembly, looked up with a thoughtful expression. We see it as an engineering problem, sir. It's a big one, but still just a problem that needs fixing. Exactly, said Shin. Now let's figure out how to fix it. Dr. Seo Ji-won stared at her instruments for the 5th time in 10 minutes. The readings made no sense according to everything she knew about physics. The theoretical physicist had spent her career studying the strangest corners of science, but nothing had prepared her for this. Captain, she called to Shin Tae-young. I think I understand what happened to Nexus Prime. Explain it in simple terms, Shin replied. Assume I'm just a ship captain who doesn't understand advanced science. The station was experimenting with dark matter to create new forms of faster-than-light travel. Something went wrong with their experiment. Instead of moving faster through normal space, the station started moving through multiple dimensions at the same time. Communications Officer Yoon Bo-Ra looked up from her console. So it's not really in 17 places. It's in 17 different versions of the same place? Exactly. Imagine you have a piece of paper and you make 17 copies of it, then stack them slightly off-center. From the side, it looks like one thick paper. But if you could see it from above, you'd see 17 different papers all in almost the same place. Engineer Choi Woo-jin rubbed his head. That sounds like something that should be impossible to fix. The aliens thought so, said Dr. Seo. They tried to solve it with mathematics and advanced technology. The Altarians used quantum computers to calculate a solution. The Gorvan tried to force the station back into normal space with gravitational weapons. The Ethereals attempted to use mental power to convince reality to behave normally. What about us? Asked Lieutenant Commander Han Min-seo. What's our approach? Technician Kim Do-hyun, who had been listening quietly, suddenly spoke up. What if we don't try to understand it? What if we just fix it? What do you mean? Asked Captain Shin. I mean, when my computer breaks, I don't need to understand quantum mechanics to fix it. I just need to know which parts are broken and how to replace them. Maybe this is the same thing, just bigger. Dr. Seo looked surprised. That's actually not a terrible idea. Instead of trying to solve the dimensional mathematics, we could treat this as a mechanical problem. How do we fix something that's in 17 places at once? Asked pilot Nam Ji-ho. We don't, said Do-hyun. We fix it in one place and hope the fix spreads to the other 16. While they debated solutions, Communications Officer Lee Yoonbi was working on a different problem, establishing contact with anyone who might still be alive on the station. The radio signals were scattered across multiple dimensions, but she had an idea. What if I don't try to send a signal to one specific version of the station, she said. What if I broadcast to all 17 at once? She modified the communication. array to send signals across multiple dimensional frequencies. It was like trying to have a conversation with 17 different echoes of the same person, but after several hours of adjustment, she got a response. "This is Dr. Park J. Sung on Nexus Prime," came a voice crackling through the static. "Is someone actually out there?" "Dr. Park, this is the human rescue ship Persistence. We're here to get you out." There was a long pause. Then, "Human? The other species sent rescue missions, but they all failed or gave up. What makes you think you can succeed?" "We're still working on that part," admitted Yunbi. "How many people are with you?" "That's complicated. In some dimensions, I have my full research team of 12 humans. In others, I'm alone. In a few, I have people here I've never met before who claim to be part of my team." Dr. Seo leaned over the communication console. "Dr. Park, this is Dr. Seo Ji-won. Can you tell us what caused the dimensional split? We were testing a new dark matter configuration to create stable wormholes. Something went wrong with the containment field. The dark matter began resonating across multiple dimensional frequencies simultaneously." "Is the experiment still running?" "Yes, and that's the problem. The station's AI is trying to fix the situation by calculating the correct dimensional frequency to return us to normal space. But every calculation it makes creates a new dimensional echo." Engineer Ryu Hyejin looked thoughtful. "So the more the AI tries to solve the problem logically, the worse it gets?" "Exactly. We need to shut down the experiment, but the controls are scattered across all 17-dimensional versions of the station." Technician Do Hyun smiled. "Or we need to teach the AI to stop thinking so hard." "What?" asked Dr. Park over the radio. "The AI is trying to find the perfect solution," Do Hyun explained. "What if we taught it to find a good enough solution instead?" Captain Shin understood immediately. "Instead of calculating the exact right answer, we make it guess and check until something works." "That's completely unscientific," protested Dr. CO. "So is a space station existing in 17 dimensions," replied Shin. "Scientific thinking got us into this mess. Maybe unscientific thinking can get us out." The plan they developed was both brilliant and completely insane. They would send small teams to different dimensional versions of the station. Each team would introduce random variables into the AI's calculations, essentially teaching the computer to make controlled mistakes. "It's like teaching a very smart person to be stupid on purpose," explained Do Hyun. Navigator Bae Gun Woo plotted courses to reach the different dimensional echoes. "Getting there won't be easy. We'll need to shift our ships through multiple dimensions while maintaining life support." "Can our ships handle that?" asked Medical Officer Lee So-young. "Probably not," admitted Gunwoo. "But they're tough ships, and we're good at fixing things." The first team to reach an alternate version of the station was led by Security Chief Kang Subin. Her report came back immediately. "This version of the station is completely empty, but the lights are on and the air is breathable." The second team, led by engineer Choi Min-ji, found a version where the station was crowded with people from all 5 alien species, survivors from the previous rescue missions who had been trapped in dimensional pockets. "The Altarians are trying to calculate their way out," reported Min-ji. "They've been working on equations for days. The Gorvan are attempting to break down walls that lead to normal space, but the walls just rebuild themselves. The Ethereals are meditating, hoping the problem will solve itself." "What about the Synthesis Collective and the Precursors?" asked Captain Shin. "The cyborgs are running simulations that never end because the variables keep changing." "The Precursors are... I'm not sure what they're doing. They're just standing very still and occasionally making musical sounds." Dr. Park's voice came over the radio from yet another dimensional version. "Captain Shin, we've made contact with survivors from all the previous rescue missions. They're alive but trapped. The aliens are all trying to escape using their own methods, but nothing is working." "Why not?" because they're still thinking about this as a problem to be solved with logic. The Altarians want to calculate the exact escape route. The Gorvin want to fight their way out. The Ethereals want to wish themselves home. None of them are willing to just try random things and see what works. Rescue Coordinator Yu Sang-wook was managing the logistics of reaching multiple dimensional versions simultaneously. Captain, we have a choice to make. We can focus on stabilizing the station and completing our primary mission, or we can rescue the alien survivors first. What does that mean for the mission? Asked Shin. If we spend time rescuing the aliens, we might lose the chance to fix the station. But if we fix the station first, the dimensional collapse might trap the aliens forever. The entire crew heard this over the ship's communication system. Captain Shin looked around at his officers, waiting for their input. Lieutenant Commander Han Min Seo spoke first. Sir, we didn't come this far to leave people behind. The aliens gave up on their own rescue missions, pointed out pilot Oh Dong-hyun. Why should we risk everything to save them? Medical Officer Lee So-young had a different perspective. Because that's what humans do. We don't abandon people even if they would abandon us. Communications Officer Yoon Bo-ra nodded. Besides, if we save everyone, think how that will look. To the galaxy. Humans succeeded where everyone else failed, and we did it by helping each other. Engineer Ryu Hyejin raised a practical concern. Can we even do both? Save the aliens and fix the station? Technician Do-hyun grinned. We're already doing 17 impossible things at once. What's a few more? Captain Shin made the decision that would define humanity's reputation in the galaxy for generations. We save everyone, all the aliens, all the station personnel, and we fix the station. We didn't come this far to do half a job. How do we manage all that? Asked Dr. Seo. The same way we've managed everything else so far, replied Shin. We'll figure it out as we go. The rescue operation became the most complicated puzzle anyone had ever attempted. Engineer Choi Min-ji found herself working in a version of the station where the hallways led in circles and the elevator sometimes went sideways instead of up or down. This is like trying to fix a building while it's being built and destroyed at the same time, she reported to Captain Shin. Can you work with it? He asked. Oh, yes, sir. It's just really weird. Each team had to learn how to operate in the dimensional chaos. Navigator Song Tai-ho discovered that in some versions of the station, north and south were the same direction. Medical Officer Young Ye-jin treated patients who were simultaneously injured and healthy, depending on which dimensional version you looked at. I have a patient with a broken arm, she reported, but the arm is only broken in dimensions 3, 7, and 15. In the other dimensions, he's perfectly fine. How do I treat that? Treat all the versions, suggested Dr. Seo Ji-won. Bandage the arm in every dimension, even the ones where it's not broken. That seems like it shouldn't work. Nothing we're doing should work, but it's working anyway. Security Chief Kang Soo-bin faced different challenges. She was trying to coordinate defense against what the crew had started calling dimensional echoes, hostile copies of things that existed between the different versions of reality. I'm fighting the same alien monster in 3 different hallways, she radioed. But it's not 3 different monsters. It's the same monster that exists in 3 places at once. How do you fight something like that? Asked Captain Shin. Very carefully, sir, and with a lot of backup. The breakthrough came when Dr. Lim Ju-young made contact with the station's artificial intelligence. The AI had been trying to solve the dimensional crisis for days, using pure logic and mathematics. Every calculation it made created new problems. The AI is stuck in a loop, Dr. Lim explained. It calculates a solution which creates a new dimensional echo, which changes the problem, which requires a new calculation, which creates another echo. Can we shut it down? Asked Technician Kim Do-hyun. We could, but then we'd lose life support and artificial gravity across all 17 versions of the station. People would die. What if we don't shut it down? Suggested Do-hyun. What if We teach it to be less logical? Dr. Lim looked confused. How do you teach a computer to be less logical? By introducing randomness. Instead of calculating the perfect solution, we make it guess and then adjust based on what happens. Working with the station's AI was like trying to teach a very smart child to stop overthinking a simple problem. The computer wanted to analyze every possibility and calculate every outcome. The humans wanted it to just try something and see what happened. This goes against my core programming, the AI said in its mechanical voice. I am designed to find optimal solutions through logical analysis. Your logical analysis is making the problem worse, explained Dr. Lim patiently. We need you to try a solution that might not be perfect but might work. The probability of success would be unknown. Yes, exactly. That's the point. Engineer Hwang Mi-kyung was working on the practical side of the problem. She had to manually adjust the dark matter containment fields while they were operating across 17 dimensions simultaneously. I'm essentially doing maintenance on 17 different machines at the same time, she reported. And every time I fix something in one dimension, it breaks something in another dimension. Can you fix them all at once? Asked Captain Shin. Maybe. But I'd need to coordinate perfectly with teams in all the other dimensions, and we'd have to do everything exactly together, or we'll make the problem worse. The coordination required for the solution was impossible by any normal standards. Teams scattered across 17 different versions of reality had to work together with perfect timing. Communications Officer Lee Yoon-bi had to relay instructions across multiple dimensions while the station's communication systems were breaking down. Team 7, turn the red valve clockwise, she called out. Team 12, press the blue button. Team 3, whatever you do, don't touch anything until I tell you. This is Team 3, came the reply. We already touched it. What happened? The whole room turned purple, and now gravity is working sideways. Can you work with that? We're adapting, ma'am. The rescue teams found survivors from all the previous alien missions, each group trapped in their own dimensional pocket and trying to escape using their own methods. Rescue coordinator Yu Sang-wook found the Altarian team first. They had covered the walls with mathematical equations, trying to calculate their way back to normal space. These equations are beautiful, he told them, but they're not getting you home. The mathematics must be perfect, insisted the Altarian, lead scientist. Any error in the calculations could make things worse. The calculations are already perfect. That's the problem. Sometimes you need imperfect solutions to fix imperfect problems. The Gorvan warriors were trying to blast their way through the station's walls using their energy weapons. The walls kept rebuilding themselves after each attack. You cannot fight your way out of mathematics, explained Security Chief Kang Subin. Gorvan warriors do not retreat, replied their leader, firing another blast at a wall that immediately repaired itself. You're not retreating. You're changing tactics. Sometimes the best way to win a fight is to stop fighting. The ethereals had formed a meditation circle, trying to use mental power to convince reality to return to normal. We seek harmony with the cosmic forces, their representative explained to Medical Officer Young Ye-jin. Through perfect mental discipline, we can restore the natural order. The natural order is already broken, Jung replied. Maybe instead of trying to restore it, you should help us build a new order that actually works. The most challenging rescue was the synthesis, collective team. They had been running computer simulations non-stop, trying to model every possible outcome of every possible solution. Our simulations indicate a 97.7% probability that any action we take will make the situation worse, their leader announced. Engineer Choi Woo-jin looked at their computer displays. Your simulations are based on the assumption that logical solutions work. But logic is what got us into this mess. You are suggesting we abandon rational analysis? I'm suggesting we try something new, logic plus controlled chaos. Calculate what should work, then deliberately do something slightly different and see what actually works. The final phase of the operation required someone to stay behind and manually maintain the dimensional stabilizers while everyone else evacuated. The mathematics showed that whoever stayed would have almost no chance of survival. Chief Engineer No Hyun Woo volunteered immediately. "I've been working with these systems for days. I understand them better than anyone." Hyun Woo. "The survival probability is essentially 0, Captain Shin told him. "Sir, the survival probability for this entire mission was essentially 0. We've been beating impossible odds since we got here. Besides," he grinned, "someone has to make sure the machines keep working, and I've always been better with machines than with people." "Are you sure about this?" "Captain, I joined this mission because I wanted to fix something that everyone said couldn't be fixed. This is my chance to actually do it." As the evacuation began, the human solution proved to be more robust than anyone expected. The controlled chaos approach didn't just stabilize the station, it actually improved the original dark matter experiment. "The random variables we introduced have created new stable configurations," reported Dr. Park Jae-sung as his team evacuated. "We've accidentally discovered 3 new methods for faster-than-light travel." Accidentally? Sometimes the best discoveries happen when you're not trying to discover anything specific. You just try things and see what works. Engineer No Hyun Woo stayed behind as planned, but the dimensional stabilizers held better than predicted. Instead of collapsing into normal space, the station began to phase back slowly, giving him time to fine-tune the process. "This is actually working better than we thought," he radioed to the evacuating ships. "I might actually survive this." "Don't get overconfident," warned Captain Shin. "Just focus on getting home." "Yes, sir. See you on the other side." One by one, the 17-dimensional versions of Nexus Prime collapsed back into a single station in normal space. The rescued personnel from 5 different species found themselves aboard human ships, heading home safely. The aliens were amazed by what they had witnessed. The Altarians had tried to solve the problem with perfect mathematics. The Gorvan had tried to overcome it with force. The Ethereals had tried to meditate it away. The Synthesis Collective had tried to simulate every possibility. The Precursors had tried to use their ancient wisdom. The humans had tried controlled chaos, deliberate imperfection, and a willingness to make mistakes and learn from them. And somehow, impossibly, it had worked. "How did you know this would succeed?" asked the Altarian scientist as they traveled back to safe space. Captain Shin thought about it for a moment. "We didn't know it would work. We just knew that giving up definitely wouldn't work. So we tried everything else until something did work. But the mathematical probability of success was so low. Mathematics told us it was impossible. But mathematics also told us the station was in 17 places at once, and we fixed that too." The return journey to civilized space took 3 weeks. During that time, the rescued alien personnel had plenty of opportunity to observe their human rescuers. What they saw changed their understanding of humanity forever. The Altarian scientists spent hours watching engineer Choi Woo-jin repair equipment that had been damaged during the dimensional chaos. They expected him to use careful calculations and precise measurements. Instead, he would examine a broken component, try a quick fix, and if it didn't work, try something else. "You are not following proper repair protocols," observed the lead Altarian scientist. "No," agreed Woo-jin, successfully reconnecting a power coupling with a piece of wire and some improvised brackets. "But the equipment is working now." "But what if it breaks again?" "Then I'll fix it again." Equipment breaks. That's what equipment does. The important thing is knowing how to fix it when it does. The Gorvan warriors were fascinated by Security Chief Kang Soo-bin's approach to maintaining order on the ships. When conflicts arose between different species, she didn't rely on regulations or formal procedures. She would talk to each side, understand the problem, and find practical solutions that worked for everyone. "Your methods are irregular," commented the Gorvan war chief. Where are the written protocols for conflict resolution? We have protocols, Subin replied, but every situation is different. Sometimes you have to ignore the protocols and just solve the actual problem. What if you make the wrong decision? Then I fix it. Making a wrong decision that I can fix is better than making no decision at all. The Ethereals were puzzled by Medical Officer Jung Ye-jin's treatment methods. When treating patients who had been affected by dimensional exposure, she didn't follow standard medical procedures. She would observe each patient, try different approaches, and adjust her treatment based on what actually worked. Your medical practices lack spiritual harmony, noted the ethereal healer. You are treating symptoms without addressing cosmic balance. I'm treating people, replied Jung. If cosmic balance helps them feel better, great. If it doesn't, I'll try something else. But what about the philosophical implications of your interventions? I'll worry about philosophy after everyone is healthy. The Synthesis Collective representatives were most confused by the humans' approach to technology. They watched Communications Officer Lee Yun-bi maintain the ship's communication systems without running constant diagnostics or optimization protocols. Your systems are operating at only 78% efficiency, pointed out the cyborg technician. Why do you not optimize them? Because 78% efficiency that works reliably is better than 100% efficiency that might fail, Yun-bi replied. I'd rather have communications that work most of the time than communications that work perfectly until they don't work at all. This approach seems wasteful of resources. It's not wasteful if it gets the job done. And it's definitely not wasteful if it gets everyone home safely. The precursors, being the oldest and supposedly wisest species in the galaxy, found human behavior the most difficult to understand. They observed Captain Shin make command decisions without consulting ancient protocols or seeking approval from higher authorities. Your decision-making process lacks proper deliberation, the precursor elder observed. You act without considering all possible consequences. I consider the consequences I can predict, Shin replied. But I can't predict everything. And people need decisions now, not after I've spent months thinking about every possibility. But what if you are wrong? Then I'll be wrong quickly, learn from it, and make a better decision next time. Being wrong fast is better than being perfect too late. As they approached the edge of human space, the alien passengers began to discuss what they had witnessed. Their conversations were overheard by the human crew members, providing insights into how the rescue mission had affected galactic perspectives on humanity. I do not understand their methods, admitted the Altarian scientist to her colleagues. They solve problems without fully understanding them first. Perhaps that is why they succeed where we fail, suggested another Altarian. We spend so much time understanding problems that we forget to solve them. The Gorvan warriors had their own discussions about human tactics. They do not fight problems directly, observed the war chief. They approach from unexpected angles. Is this cowardice? Asked a younger warrior. No, this is intelligence. They choose battles they can win instead of battles that seem honorable. The Ethereals debated the philosophical implications of human pragmatism. They focus on what works rather than what should work, noted their representative. This seems spiritually unbalanced, replied another. How can they find harmony without seeking perfect understanding? Perhaps they have found a different kind of harmony. Balance between thinking and doing, rather than perfect thinking without doing. The Synthesis Collective ran calculations on human problem-solving efficiency. Their success rate is statistically improbable, concluded their analysis team. How do you calculate the probability of outcomes that have never been attempted before? Asked one of their members. We cannot. Our models do not account for unprecedented approaches to unprecedented problems. The precursors found themselves questioning their own ancient wisdom. Humans accomplish things that our experience says should be impossible, the elder admitted. Perhaps our experience is incomplete, suggested a younger precursor. Perhaps there are approaches to problems that we have never considered because we have never needed to consider them. When they finally reached the Galactic Council Station, the news of the successful rescue mission had already spread throughout civilized space. The impossible had been accomplished. Nexus Prime had been saved, its research preserved, and personnel from all 5 species brought home safely. The formal debriefing was attended by representatives from every major species in the galaxy. Captain Shin found himself standing before the same council chamber where the mission had been declared impossible just months earlier. "Captain Shin," began the Altarian ambassador, "your species has achieved something that our combined civilizations could not accomplish. We would like to understand how this was possible." Shin looked around the chamber at the assembled representatives. They were all more advanced than humanity in different ways. Better technology, older civilizations, more powerful weapons, deeper scientific knowledge. But they had all failed where humans succeeded. "You want to know our secret?" he asked. "It's not really a secret. We just don't know when to quit." "Surely there is more to it than simple persistence," pressed the Gorvan representative. Lieutenant Commander Han Minseo stepped forward. "There is, but it's not complicated. When we encounter a problem we can't solve, we don't assume it's impossible. We assume we haven't found the right approach yet." Dr. Cog1 added her perspective. "Your species all tried to solve the dimensional crisis using your greatest strengths: advanced mathematics, superior firepower, mental discipline, computational power, ancient wisdom. But sometimes the best solution isn't your strongest capability." "What is the best solution?" asked the ethereal representative. "Whatever works," replied Engineer Choi Woo-jin. "We tried everything until something worked. Then we did more of what worked and less of what didn't work. The Synthesis Collective representative processed this information." "You are describing iterative trial and error methodology. This is inefficient compared to predictive modeling." "Maybe," agreed technician Kim Do-hyun, "but inefficient solutions that work are better than efficient solutions that don't work." The precursor elder spoke with the weight of millennia. "Your approach seems to reject the accumulated wisdom of ages. How do you justify abandoning proven methods?" Medical Officer Lee, So Young, answered this one. "We don't abandon proven methods. We use them when they work. But when they don't work, we try unproven methods until we find something that does work. The goal isn't to be right according to old wisdom. The goal is to solve the actual problem in front of us." The chamber fell silent as the implications of this philosophy sank in. Every species had their own version of "this is how things are done." Humans seemed to operate on "this is how things need to be done right now." Finally, the Altarian ambassador asked the question that everyone was thinking. "What will you do when the next impossible mission arises?" Captain Shin smiled the same smile he had worn when first volunteering for the Nexus Prime mission. It was the smile of someone who had made a decision and was ready to see it through. "We'll manage it," he said simply. The alien representatives exchanged glances. They had just witnessed humans accomplish the impossible through sheer stubborn determination to keep trying until something worked. The mathematical probability had been against success. Logic had suggested the mission was futile. Experience had shown that even the most advanced civilizations could not succeed. Humans had ignored probability, logic, and experience. They had succeeded anyway. Dr. An Soo-jin, the new director of the Joint Research Program analyzing the dimensional technology recovered from Nexus Prime, provided the final insight that would define humanity's role in the galaxy. Every species in the galaxy approaches problems by asking, "Can this be solved?" That's a yes or no question, and if the answer seems to be no, you stop trying. She gestured toward the human delegation.